Grote. That's how you pronounce Grote guitars. Grote, if you consult the web's foremost source of dictionary translations and informing, especially if you're going to open a brand and start creating things, it's always a good idea to check urbandictionary.com, where you will learn that Grote translates to bollocks or testicles. Usually I should refer to as a single testicle. Boys and girls, I'm Nick in the States, and this beautiful, wondrous, silhouette familiar guitar is Grote Guitar's take on a Les Paul Custom. Let's be honest. It's been very inspired by the Gibson, but it's delivered in a beautiful smoke burst quilt top, laminate veneer finish on a maple cap, mahogany body, mahogany neck, rosewood fretboard. Just like a Gibson, it's got a 24 3/4 inch scale, 2 volumes, 2 tones, 2 humbuckers, a 3-way switch, pneumatic bridge, and the aforementioned Bigsby B700 style import copy from China. Has Grover style tuners, but these little guys at least aren't fake Grovers, they're just unlabeled, but actually feel quite nice to your hands and seem to work quite well. If you look at the headstock, it's kind of like an Epiphone headstock without the bookmark in the middle. And Grote logo and an Art Deco kind of flourish there, fully bound, just like the neck with the block inlays. Overall, for not being a copy of a Les Paul, it's a pretty darn accurate shape, and I think it's a pretty good package and take on a headstock. Headstock's not a negative. I think overall, it looks like a pretty classy guitar, and it feels like a pretty classy guitar. It's a solid 10 pounds as it sits here. So not the ultimate boat anchor, but not a flyweight guitar by any means. Now, I bought this guitar from eBay about 9 or 10 months ago, maybe a year. If I look today just to see, and well, they don't have one with the Bigsby. Most of their Les Paul copies, Les Paul inspired guitars, right now are going for about $300 with free shipping from China. Yes, China. That's where much of this stuff comes from these days. So that's about what the marketplace is. I've seen them also show up on Amazon from time to time as well. If you're interested, you can look there too. But overall, out of the box, frets felt good. Neck is a very typical slim import shaped neck. Definitely more of a shallow D than a C with any sort of rollover at the fretboard level. From everything worked. Action is really not bad. It can go lower, but overall, it feels comfortable. It feels quite legit, actually. And I was just very impressed with how it looks. Now, when you get in close, I don't know, these are tops, especially dark quilted stuff that look really great from 5 or 10 feet away. But when you get in, you can just see that it doesn't quite have the depth in close that it sort of looks like. But as soon as you back up just a little bit, it really kind of glows and looks amazing. So that's just the way it goes with some of these dark bursts. Anything that's a black as part of the burst and transparentness to it, it doesn't always look good when you're sitting there playing it, but it looks good to anyone that you're playing the guitar for, whether it's over video or live from stage or something along those lines. Now, we'll get to some comparisons a little bit later in the video, but overall, out of the box I went, wow, that was better than I expected, or at least on par. If you ever played the direct from China game with some other manufacturers, and I have, quality control sometimes isn't the greatest, and I feel like this at least went through that step, and the low-hanging fruit problems kind of had been addressed by it, or even it didn't make out the door with anything as a bigger problem. So I do tip my cap to Grote for that. We've seen some other ones where some was great and some were awful, so maybe I got lucky. Not really sure, but we'll get into a little bit further with this. Now, recording today, we're going into a Kemper. So directly into a Kemper. From a Kemper, we're actually trying out a Complete Audio 6 as the audio interface, going with that into Logic. Just kind of playing with a couple different interfaces right now in AB. So let's play a little bit of tones. We'll go through some cleans and some dirties. I'm first going to tune because not only does it have the strings it came with, I should swap them, but it also has a Bigsby, which also likes to do things like stretch strings for you. Let's play it and we'll get a little bit of recap of that afterwards. bridge. Hey! Dirty it up just a little bit. A little bit of crunch. Neck. And a last little bit of punch. Listen, let's talk about a few things. This is a great platform. It's a great thing to buy, to play, and then maybe over time make better. First off, the tuner for the D string, EAD, the D string, just super resistant crap. I kind of worked it through its paces and it still feels like everything don't get along so well, like a family after, say, a month in quarantine. Potentially. A random thing. No reference, not referring to anything at all in reality. So that's kind of crap. These pickups are plenty fine. You know, they're not too noisy, they're not too limp, they're not too anything, they're not too anything. They're not too good, they're not great. But they work. You want to go and play Marshall-y tones with a Les Paul, they're fine for that. You want to play cleany tones, if you don't have another humbucker guitar, probably will be fine. But as soon as you A-B it with anything, if they're slightly shrill, slightly limp, the bridge has some punch, and I think it's a ceramic magnet, so it's good for gainy stuff. So you'll be fine there. It's just doing the other things. This perfectly fine guitar for $200 or $300, in plenty of adventurously cool colors. I can definitely see the attraction if you're looking out there and you want something fun. Maybe you've got some pickups in a drawer, some tuners, or you want to do something your own take on it. I think this is actually a very cool option. But if you're going to buy this and you're looking at this, I also would suggest taking a moment and looking at a used Epiphone and look at the different options you may have in used Epiphone in the same price range. Or look at something like a Harley Benton, or depending where you're on the world, an SX or an Artist Guitars I've heard great things about, and see what you can do there. It is beautiful though, and it did sit on my wall for a long time, and this garnered so many compliments from people who didn't know guitars, who assumed it was one of my expensive guitars and not one of the cheapest guitars in the collection. So you have that going. It's a great starting point, but there are other options out there too. So just be smart. It's a Chinese-made guitar. The QC in this is better than, say, a Gibson, but perhaps not quite as good as an Epiphone to come out with a kind of a junk tuner, that kind of thing. I got all the way through to the editing portion of this video and realized I didn't talk about the Bigsby. Well, it looks nice. The arm needs to be tightened a little because it gets a little limp. It's mounted nice, the guitar. Everything looks really kind of classy with it. But the action, if I play it, is really stiff. Doesn't do the best job of returning to tune. All the strings will be either pitchy or flat. And the arms on these imports, what happens is they roll the front edge so it looks nice and pretty, but they don't do anything with the back edge, and you can't really see. But like on this side, you know, it's kind of almost razor sharp, bumpy. It just doesn't feel good to use. Now I'm going to do another video sometime in the next 2 weeks on Bigsby. So this is a B700 style. And then there's a B70 made in Korean style. And then there's a B7, which is actually what's on this questionable Les Paul over here. And the difference between them is mainly the type of metal, how it's cast, and the type of bearing that lives inside right here. And what this is this type of bearing is just actually a plastic sleeve that turns. So you can imagine it's, you know, like nut material. It's smooth, it slides, but it still is a little grippy. Where that one actually uses needle bearings, actual like things you'd have in a hub of a car wheel, like things that smoothly allow it and allows it a much freer, less friction movement through its path, so therefore it doesn't stop the guitar before the bar has cut up that extra minute decimal place of a space, and then things are in tune more on that than on this. So that's the news on the Bigsby on this. It looks wonderful. Yay. That's my overall opinion. This is really cool. If I was begging to do another project, I would take this and really make it into my own. But I've got enough right now, man, even with being home more. So what I will probably do in the near future is list this bad boy on my Reverb Store. Happy to go look there and see, and pass it on down the line. If it really floats your boat, you can reach out to me even earlier. I'll put up a quick link, and then you can process everything there. Okay. With all of that, I've been Nick in the States. This has been a Grote Les Paul inspired, Les Paul custom inspired copy. It's not quite the bollocks, but it's all right. It's pretty good. It is what it is. I've been Nick in the States. Thank you for coming in, letting me share this with you today. You take care.